Good afternoon, my name's Ryan Willard and I am an architect from the Thinking Hand studio, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a thought piece on these things behind me, these wonderful, magnificent trees, and the relationship that trees and the natural environment have to our built environment, and how sometimes there can always be a conflict, but what we're searching for as designers is to create balance. I'm going to show you here, this is on site at one of the projects that I'm working on, the vicarage in South London, and this wall is in a bit of a state, and you know, it looks like a sort of decrepit, decaying wall that's about to fall down, and I'm not going to deny that it's not. But what's interesting about it is that what's caused all this damage has been this. Now obviously that building is going to need a lot of repair work and the tree will need to be cut back and grown, but what it got me thinking about is how can we utilize this force of nature. It's actually really exciting to see over time the roots of this tree slowly tearing apart and pushing apart the building and actually creating new spaces. And when we look at, it reminds me of travels to Cambodia, where I visited temples there that have been not looked after for many hundreds of years, and you have the rainforest slowly creeping in to the architecture and shifting huge blocks of sandstone and granite and actually totally disforming and disfiguring the architecture. Something that it would take machinery and humans a lot of energy to exert this force, but a tree has done it slowly over time. So it gets me thinking, how could we utilize this force? How could we make architecture that's growing? In the southern state of India, in Meghalaya, they use the roots of banyan trees to actually grow bridges across ravines and across lakes. And actually, you know, they train the roots to grow slowly over a number of years, and after 20, 30 years or so you have a fully formed bridge that people can walk across, and that will be able to respond and flex to all different types of environmental and climatic changes. We also have traditions like espalier and topiary and bonsai, which are all forms of pruning and growing and shaping trees into things that we want them to be like. I'll show you in a second. There's an example where the tree has been shaped into a circular form, but during the Renaissance time and sort of Baroque period, it was a very popular art form to be making trees into these shapes. You can see here, for example, in this tree in the garden, that it's been slowly trained the trunks to grow into a circle, and this would have been achieved by using some kind of framework or structure and literally trained the tree, the plant, to grow around that shape. Again here we've got another fantastic example of, I think this is wisteria, creeping across the facade of the building and actually growing in and around. Now this hasn't been trained as such, it has been pruned and kept back and gently shaped over time to stop it from going. So more recently we have techniques of growing trees aeroponically, which means that the roots are exposed, and once the roots are exposed it means that we can start to train them, and those are the fastest sort of growing elements of a tree and often some of the most robust, and being able to train them into various shapes, we start to have a living architecture. We start to have an architecture that's actually grown out of the ground, and spaces that are occurring organically and which we can change and manipulate over time whilst developing this beautiful kind of harmony. And if we can utilize trees and plants to actually grow architecture, what other forms of living architecture can we produce? There was a project done by Dr. Rachel Armstrong in Venice where she was looking at supporting and regrowing essentially the foundations of Venice, which is a sinking city at the moment, by using various calcification methods and by studying and looking at bone growth. And her background being from the medical sciences was able to put forward very articulate and amazing arguments for how this could actually be achieved. And a step further than that even, when we start considering the implications of nanotechnology. These are microscopic robots at the scale of atoms even in some cases, and using that kind of technology to actually program with algorithms and to actually have architecture that is living and growing through technology as well as natural resources. So I'll leave you for today with those thoughts on living architecture and the future of how buildings can maybe one day be grown, and actually using natural growth patterns as a way of design. So thank you very much. My name is Ryan Willard and I'm an architect in the Thinking Hand Studio. You can contact me at info@thinkinghandstudio or visit our website at www.thinkinghandstudio.com.